I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that is now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by radicalizing every issue and stroke anti-white racism, actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms, are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, demonize our police and protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, believe in open borders, weaponize the national security state to go after political opponents, and above all, dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Hello folks, thank you for joining me today for the Vision of Veritas. Today we had a redemption, a very important redemption, probably one of the most important that someone can have in their life, when they suddenly realize the lies, the deception, the elitist, dirty, underhanded politics that the left is known for. When one decides to leave that and they open up themselves to the hostility that not being a part of the protected class gives you, it's to be met with the highest honor, with the highest praise, as long as it is genuine. And as to the authenticity of it, only time will tell. Tulsi Gabbard made that switch today. She didn't formally come out and say she was a conservative or a Republican or was joining the Republican Party. But with the statements that she has made, she clearly has conservative values and conservative principles. And the best part about it is she is not afraid to say it. Only time will tell if she puts her money where her mouth is. I believe in a government that is of, by, and for the people. Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government of, by, and for the powerful elite. I am calling on my fellow common-sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, I invite you to join me. And with that declaration, with that formal declaration, Tulsi Gabbard is now an open season target for the left. She has lost the protection. She has lost the looking the other way. She has essentially lost everything that goes along with being a part of the protected class in today's society. And that is to be commended. Although I really don't think that she understands the type of target she has put on herself by doing this. My guess is she's going to realize it relatively soon, though. She's now going to have to think about everything that she says prior to saying it, especially in the public eye. There is now an open season license to scrutinize everything that she says, be it true or untrue. She has opened up her past, something that she may have done 35 years ago. Be it the most irrelevant and benign thing possible, it can and will be dug up and used against her. She's going to have to come to the realization that anything that she says can be twisted and used against her. She's going to have to come to the realization that anything she says can now be racist, no matter what it is, regardless of how far apart it actually is from being racist. She needs to realize that if her life is ever threatened in any way, there won't be a media storm to now come to her defense, just like we very recently saw here with Brett Kavanaugh. She needs to understand that her reality has been totally flipped on its head. Being a former Democrat, she's used to everything that she says automatically being protected within the media. If she said anything accidentally off color, the media either A, didn't report it, B, covered it up, or C, twisted it in such a manner that it seemed benign. She needs to understand that everything that she says and does will be put under the strictest of microscopes. If she doesn't currently have a thick skin and a very stout backbone, she will need to develop it and develop it quickly. While she hasn't come out and called herself a Republican or a conservative, the speech that she gave certainly values conservative principles and the principles that a just society lives by. I mean, just take a look and realize what she said here. She called the Democrat Party an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness. She pointed out the fact that every issue, no matter what it is, not only is it radicalized, it's twisted to be racist in some way, shape, or form. A political issue is made out of it, and no matter what the outcome, it's used to prop up Democrats. She recognizes that our God-given freedoms, our Bill of Rights, everything that this country was founded upon is under assault by the media, by Marxism that has taken hold of the school system, and by the left as a whole. She publicly stated that our government is of, by, and for the people, not of, by, and for the powerful elite which are in control of our current government. Again, with these statements, with these realizations, with these truths, and remember, truths are absolute. There is no your truth and my truth. With this truth that she has come to realize, she, her family, anybody close to her is open season. But of course, talk is cheap. At some point in time throughout our lives, we have all seen lip service. We've seen people make a stand one way and cave in another. And especially in politics, we've seen people outright lie for the purposes of furthering an agenda, furthering a narrative that is hell-bent on total control. Hopefully, she truly has come to see the truth.
Today, I want to share something with you that has been on my mind and has been troubling me for quite some time and has now compelled me to take action. Now, I love our country. Our God-given rights of freedom, life, and liberty that are enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights are what inspires me. Now, I answered the call to duty. I took an oath dedicating my life to supporting and defending those freedoms, both in uniform and in public office. I had the good fortune of growing up here in Hawaii. And growing up here gave me a very special appreciation for the importance of our environment, of protecting our water, protecting our natural resources. And, I used to go and do beach cleanups as a kid and do other things trying to protect our home, but I always felt like I needed to do more. And so when I was 21 years old, I decided to run for Hawaii State House so that I could actually be in a position to do that, to protect the environment. I had never had any interest in running for office. Before that, I was not politically affiliated. But as I was filling out the paperwork to go and file my election papers, I had to choose which box I would check. I had to choose which party I would affiliate with. So before doing that, I thought I need to do my research. And I did that. And as I read more and learned more, I was inspired by Democrats who stood up against the war in Vietnam. I was inspired by those who here in Hawaii fought for plantation workers who were being abused and exploited by wealthy landowners, but had nobody to stand up for them and be their voice. I was inspired by leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy. I was drawn to the ideals of a big tent, inclusive Democratic Party that stood up for working men and women, that stood up for the little guy. Now, in contrast, as I read about the Republican Party at that time, it seemed like it was a party that stood for the interests of big business and warmongering elites. So I became a Democrat and remained one for the last 20 years. Yes, an independent Democrat, to be sure, but a Democrat nonetheless. I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party. It's now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms enshrined in our Constitution, and who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police, who protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, these are some of the main reasons I'm leaving the Democratic Party, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them here with you today, but these are really important issues. And in the coming weeks, I hope you'll join me because I'm going to be going into each and every one of these in more depth.
And thank you for tuning in for the Vision of Veritas here. We all applaud Tulsi Gabbard for switching from the Democrat Party, not officially saying that she's going to go the conservative route, but clearly has fundamental principles that reflect conservative values. Our country was founded upon these same values. Our founding fathers demanded limited government, demanded individual sovereignty, demanded that the government that does form, that eventually will exist, that it has certain limitations in place, that said government cannot grant liberties, cannot grant freedoms or independence even. Said government can only affirm those things because they are inherently God-given in every American citizen upon birth. Once again, thank you for joining me, and until next time, please keep seeking the truth. Also, please help me out here and like, share, and subscribe. I'm still a brand new channel and I cannot further this without you. Thank you and take care.